Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us at World of Pets podcast. We love having you here on a weekly basis. And we want our pets to live as long as possible, but we want that to be a good quality life. So to that end, we on this podcast explore all things about pets and animals so that we can have them around for a long time, but they are living a quality life. So again, thank you for joining us. Take it away, hosts.
Welcome back to World of Pets podcast. We appreciate your attendance and go sponsor us over at debspets.com. That's DEBSPETS.com, debspets.com, where we explore everything from human and health and wellness. And we can take it away. Anthony, welcome back, my brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? Welcome back, everybody.
Special as always. Tonight's guest is Tom Faye. We're going to talk about top grooming tips, by the way, which I'm very interested in.
Fantastic.
Now, is he going to groom my beard, or are we talking
Well,
just...
that was going to be part of my question.
I was going to get the clippers out and the shears. But you look like you might need one of them those sheep shears though. Yours is going pretty
David,
thick.
yeah, David's pretty thick there. He's
yeah.
It's thinner than it looks.
Yeah.
It's just
Grows well.
Cool.
So
Tell us a
about
little
what you
about
do.
yourself and all that stuff. How did you get into pet grooming and all that?
Yeah. So I guess I grew up with people in the industry around me. So as a young boy, you always grow up and there's people you grow around animals. My grandfather, for example, he had some cows and I always noticed that they'd always go over the cows and just pick off the ticks, and that it was a very regular process. They never really let them stay too long. And so then I realized, these animals that we have around us, they need a lot of care and attention to get on top of those kind of things. And so as time went on, I just realized that I've got an affinity for the industry. I realized that, pet care in general and caring for animals, whether it's grooming or, the toy mega stores, the pet toy mega stores, whatever it is, I've just always been interested in it because, you walk around. I've traveled quite a lot and I've been to Asia. I've been through Shanghai. And I just remembered looking through and there's all these little stores and people keep dropping off their pets. And so that really made me look a little bit deeper and say, so other than the veterinarian side, where you've got the cows and the dog and the horses and that, which need regular updates and regular checks, there's actually another side to it, which is the domestic animals that also need that kind of care. And when I started looking deeper, that's how I ended up where I am.
All right.
Very nice. Very, very nice. So, where are you, and do you do this from your house? Do you do it from a business? Where are you located?
Right. So I myself, our company is based out of Birmingham in Alabama, but I myself, I work remotely. So what I actually do, guys, is I myself do not do the grooming particularly, like per se myself. I actually work with groomers and I help them find placements in jobs. So let's say you've got salons, you've got mobile vans. And so what I do is I come through and I say, hey, look, we've got a couple people here, we've got some CVs, and we help these guys get placed into different places. So it's more about, on my end, helping the staffing solution more than anything else. And also there's a lot of guys who've got these mobile vans. And so a lot of times they can sit vacant or just, idle on the driveway. And so I help to connect them as well with people who are experienced, with driver's licenses, go around to people's homes and do the grooming, let's say, right in the driveway. So that's actually what I do.
That's pretty good. So what you do is networking and advertising. And that's kind of a different angle than what I was thinking we were going tonight. But from the groomers that you've talked with and networked with, what do you think some of the top tips for home grooming that you think that people should hear?
I think a lot of people is the first thing is to always just get your animal, whatever you've got, whether it's a schnauzer or whatever kind of poodle, doodle, whatever you've got, always try and get them with even at least one session with a master groomer, right? And if you could sit through that session and just listen and watch what's going on, and they always recommend that as well, is on that first session that the owner is always there, because it helps to keep the pet calm, okay? And you can ask questions, and it's the smells and everything that, the dryers, you got the blow dryers that can really put them off. So what they say is for the owners to be there. And that first session is really when you can start to obtain a bit of information. What kind of shears should you be using? What kind of clippers? How low should you go? And so that is probably the first thing where I would start, is to identify locally in your area a master groomer. Go in with your pet for that first session, and then you can pick up a lot of tips that way.
Okay, that's a great point. Because I have a brand new, well, he's not brand new, he's 12 years old, but I just adopted a 12-year-old dachshund.
Right.
And he had oral surgery, and they told me I couldn't give him a bath until after he has his follow-up because of his dental work he had to have done.
Right.
So, but he's matted up, and you can tell he's a little bit neglected and all that, but I already have a groomer waiting, just get him cleared by the doctor.
Yeah.
And, or by the vet, I should say.
Yeah.
And, we can move from there. I just scheduled an appointment with my personal groomer I grew up with. So,
right.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Jennifer, hi. Love you.
Hello, Jennifer.
Do you guys run into, Tom, difficulties state by state and region by region as far as licensing requirements, business licensing requirements, and those kind of things?
Yeah, a lot of times the best thing about that is like you said, is when you grow up with a groomer, those groomers are really clued on to exactly what they need. And so where we're at, we're actually more just like I said on that staffing side, but the guys on the ground, the guys and girls on the ground, they're so clued on. You'll find some states, obviously different states have different requirements. I know just now in Nevada, they've just got a requirement for the groomers to go through like an annual course, it's like a refresher course type thing, just like a pet care and exactly, the best practice. But then you might find Florida doesn't have that. And so it's really important, to your point, every local groomer, before you get started, before you actually go through and start, taking on customers, it's actually recommended that you buddy up. Again, I always pull back to the master groomers because they have insane levels of knowledge. Just buddy up with a master groomer. There's a lot of Facebook groups they can join and just ask these questions. And the community is one of the most amazing communities that I've come across. That's actually another reason why I like it. Because you guys can imagine, I spend my whole day looking at photos of dogs smiling, right? That's essentially what I do. I spend all day looking at these photos. And if I've got a question, or actually people ask questions and you're learning at the same time. So the community is awesome. Yeah.
It's so funny you talk about that. I see all these videos on Facebook or TikTok or, on socials, and like these dogs are like howling and trying to groom them and stuff. And, like they're singing soprano and being tortured. And it's so funny.
It's so funny. And then they chill out at the end of it and they're all smiling at the end, right? And they got the bowl. It's like, what was all the noise about? Yeah. What are we making all that howling and yowling for? You happy now? So, yeah. That's the thing. So when I'm looking at different, let's say I've got a client. I've got one lady in Southwest Florida. And she's trying to fill in some shifts. And so what I'm going to do is go through and double check each salon before I reach out to them and make sure that she's actually going to be a right fit. And so, you go through, you look at their social media, you look at their videos, and you end up having a laugh. It's like this dog, the before and afters are quite hilarious. So, yeah.
Now you work a lot in the placement, right? And placing people in grooming industry and stuff like that. So where are you getting most of your candidates from and most of the people that you place?
Right. So there's a mix. You'll find a lot of people are just reaching out via Facebook. Some people reach out through LinkedIn. Let's say I've got a store out in Vegas, and so you might put out a job advert, and so people might reach out through that. So there's a lot of canvassing. You spend a lot of time going through, but we do have a pretty big database too. So we've got a database of groomers right from the top, north to south, east to west. And so what we're doing is going through that database and just identifying each location. And when we find that location, and it typically starts with the salon, right? So the salon is the one who says, hey, look, you know what, we need a groomer in this area. Have you got somebody? And it might take us a while to actually find somebody and place them. But So it's a mix of things. There's no one way to sort of identify who's a good fit for that sort of space, you know?
So I know, like in the equine industry, being a farrier and saddle making are the two biggest needs in the equine industry. Would you say in the domestic pet industry, like for dogs, cats, iguanas, snakes, that grooming is like the biggest need?
Yeah, you know, and this goes back to COVID. I think, you know, if you guys know about the statistics about, you know, when we all got locked up and the number of pets that were adopted and taken on into households. And then that one pet 5-6 years ago now has become a second pet into a third one. And then, you know, you've got Gen X who are going into their, sometimes a third and fourth pet. And then that might be a lizard, it might be something else, you know, so it is actually the grooming, in my opinion, just from what I've seen, is going to be, and you got cats, you got dogs. That is the biggest demand at the moment. But the tough part is identifying people who've got the experience, right? So that is proven to be a little bit of a struggle in some areas, but you know the industry is working through it and filling in the spots as they come.
Yeah, I tried to get into grooming snakes, but all the snakes in Arizona will kill you.
They
So
will. I don't even think they need your assistance. They just need to cool down a little bit, rub up against something, and get it off, right?
I was going to say a bucket of ice will calm them down real quick.
Yeah. Bucket of ice will do it. You know, I actually saw this thing because for some reason I keep getting these snake things on my feed, and I saw the weirdest one. I think this lady was in Australia, and she had two of the biggest pythons. They were mating in her shed. Now she had a shed full of just whatever, and they were eating her chickens. So she kept losing chickens. She was like, but you know, because she's trying to roost, breed these chickens for eggs and all that. And so she called the snake catcher in, and he went in behind like this big wooden shed, a shelf that she had, and there was these two giant pythons all wrapped up in each other. And he had to like pull it all apart and pull them out with his hands. I was, oh no. No, thank you. I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, that's where I'm out right there. I'm done.
Yeah, no, don't want to touch them.
Down. Yeah, I'm done.
No,
Would have been easier to pull out the clippers on that one.
Yeah, and then he had to put them into like a rubbish bin. You know those wheelie bins with the lids.
Yeah,
he had to try and put them in there, and she was trying to help him. It was terrible, but anyway, he got the job done. So, but yeah, I stay away from that stuff. I prefer the cats and the dogs.
Is that your craziest one that you've seen?
I think that's one of the craziest ones. Have you seen a pretty insane one on the old Reels, Facebook Reels?
Very possibly.
Yeah, I think that's the most insane one that I've seen. Like, I see a lot of shark stuff as well. For some reason, the animals seem to follow me around, guys. I don't know what it is. I see like some crazy shark videos. I see, you see a lot of stuff when you spend all your time on Facebook trying to find people.
Well, the ones that shock me the most are they're just like, here, snaky snake, and then the snake strikes the camera. I'm like,
yeah.
No.
Yeah. Those are pretty insane. I've seen those.
What is a simple grooming tip that you could actually give to pet owners that they can do in their house to help keep the animal healthy between having the professional do it?
Yeah, I guess it's probably around the procedure, guys. It's if you take anything from the way the professionals do it, it really starts with just you want to get the pet into a space, whether it's a bathtub or outside, somewhere where they can see what's about to happen, right? So you want to calm them down, and you want to go. It's like bathing a child in a certain extent, isn't it? You really want to get them into that space, into that zone. And then you want to go through and just start, I believe it's for me, the biggest tip would be that the beginning process of the wash down is probably where, from speaking to these groomers, is where you either get it right or you don't get it right. If you don't get that wash down right, and then the comb down, and then because it's a process, right? It's sort of like a ritual in sort of sense. And so it really starts with that wash down. You need to get that down packed so everybody knows what's about to happen. And then from there, it looks like, everything else goes pretty smoothly.
All right. What are the specific health benefits of having regular grooming?
It would be catching on to things, possibly even, so let's look at the summertime, right? When you're going into the summertime, if you're going to groom your dog, you're going to help them stay cooler, right? They're not going to be overheating. They're going to be a lot more comfortable. So I think that would probably be one of the biggest ones. But the second health benefit is because you're touching your animal in a different way, right? You're not just petting them. So you're touching them and you're going through and you're looking in the eyes and you're looking at the head. So you're going to catch things. You might actually end up catching something that you might not have caught if you hadn't been going through that grooming process. So again, it's like your child, right? You're bathing your child, you go through and you put on the lotion and everything. You're taking a look at how are they doing physically, right? And is there anywhere that, you touch them and they're sort of flinching? That's a catch and that's a tail. So it's really around those two sort of things, is the comfort going into summertime, not overheating and not over panting, but also at the same time, you are going to catch something. And if you catch something, you're going to be doing a lot better for the animal than, just giving them pets and kisses and stuff.
Yeah, prevention.
There,
thank you.
That's what you're looking at.
Tongue-tied there. Prevention before, trying to fix the problem.
Precisely.
Always a good idea. So
precisely.
How frequent do you think that needs to happen? I'm sure it's breed dependent, but say, I know you're not supposed to really shave huskies. You're supposed to bathe them and comb them and that kind of stuff. But like a short-haired dog, you can bathe them and you don't really need to shave them.
No.
How often do you think that rotation needs to happen?
Again, as you said, different breeds, but you want to be looking at 4 to 6 weeks is sort of like the rule of thumb, and that's a pretty light rule of thumb. 4 to 6 weeks, and if you want to just put it into your calendar at the start of the month, first of the month, just be like, first of the month, nice and easy. 1 May, 1 July, 1 August. Yep, time to give just go over the dog and give it a bit of your process. Like we said, it could even just be a bath, right? It could just be that. And then the next month you might do something a bit further down. But then what you're finding is you're going to avoid the matting if you're doing that, right? Because it's the matting.
My dogs are short-haired, like you were saying, so they don't necessarily need to bathe.
No.
But at the same time, they don't need to shave. But the bath is what helps me see and kind of get a feel for what's going on with them. You can look inside their ears, you get to see their eyes.
Precisely. That's the point at which you can go a little bit deeper than just the old rubs and pats, right? And then also when you're drying them down, if you don't use a dryer, because if they got, essentially got like a skin layer, then you're using a towel and again, you're patting them down to dry them down. You're going closer to your animal. And so that is really, really important.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense.
Doesn't it?
This little Fluffy here, he's going to be a not so hairy dog in the near future.
Yeah, right.
He's a long-haired dachshund, and I had one before. And a couple times a year, I'd have him groomed down so that I could inspect everything and all that stuff, because he really didn't need it. I do it during the summertime, beginning and end, spring and summer.
Right.
But I just got him 11 days ago, and he was a little bit neglected, but he's latching on good. So he's probably going to feel really comfortable when he's done with that grooming, I'm assuming.
100%. I mean, you've seen the smiles when there's a reason they smile. It's like they actually like it. They might not. He'll probably give you grief going into it, but once he's done, you'll really like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so when pet owners decide that they're looking for a groomer, they're in the market looking for a groomer, this is what you do. You place people with groomers.
Yeah.
You place groomers with clients.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that sounds bad, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about animal grooming. But anyway, what is one thing that if you could advise the listeners, like this is the most important thing you should look for in a groomer, what would that be?
It's probably going to be the breed, like it depends on the breed that you've got. So, if you've got a breed that is pretty particular, I think, what you were asking us earlier, what I did was I actually realized that I'll call a lot of hospital, like veterinary clinics, and the vets actually have a referral list of groomers. So, that's a really good one. So rather than you even going out and searching for yourself, next time you're down at the vet, just say, hey, who would you recommend? Or who can you think of that would be a good fit for this kind of dog? And
Right.
then, and if they don't know, they'll say, tell you what, I'll give you a call back. Let me just check in with some people, and then they'll come back to you. But they typically, a lot of them do have a list. But failing which, if you don't have a list, get onto social media, ask locally, and then once you're on, when you're onto the social media, you start asking, just go through the page and see what kind of photos they posting. Does your type of breed appear? What are people saying in the comments? If you can, find some reviews and read those reviews. There's
Right.
a few things that you can do, and also if you got the dog from a breeder and you're still in touch with that breeder, they might well even do the grooming for you. So that's
Right.
also another place. So if we've got very particular types of breeds, we'll go straight back to the breeder and say, hey, are you still grooming that animal? Do you need some people to groom that? And also, who can you recommend that could help us with this?
Good idea. It's a good way to
Yeah.
network for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, that's the thing is the business is actually what I do is actually just I spend all day not just looking at cat and dog photos, but speaking to a lot of people in the industry and doing a lot of networking, as you said. So it's the entire thing is networking. I had a call today from a lady, and I couldn't tell you where she got the number. She got the number somewhere, but she called me up and said, "Hey, I'm just trying to look at the information on that van in Boca Raton. Is it still available? Is it available on Friday? What's the price?" And so it becomes a network, and people end up calling on you for assistance. And if you can't help them, then you'll be like, "Hey, look, I'll take your note and I'll call you back in a few days and I'll let you know what I can do for you."
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like playing carpet.
That probably, yeah. It kind of is herding cats.
It's like, well, it's any business that you do, you have to learn how to market yourself and all that stuff. That's wonderful.
Precisely.
So remind me again, how long have you been doing it?
I got into this about a year ago, actually getting into it and starting to understand it. But a year ago, I was just sort of, in fact, it's probably longer because it would have gone back to 2 years ago when I was traveling in Asia, and I started paying attention to everything that I was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So when did I become activated in terms of, hey, what is going on here? Was probably a couple years back now, 2024. But now started to get more serious about a year ago, and then now over the last sort of 90 days, and we've really been like, okay, we're engaging with people and we're doing a lot more business with people, and it seems to be going well. But you'll never stop learning, guys. I mean, every day I speak to a master groomer, they tell me, "Nah, you shouldn't even be doing that." And I'm like, man, I thought I knew something, So there's so much you're always learning, and they are probably the most humbling people that I speak to. These master groomers, I mean, because it really is an art. Like when you look at the way they do it, and the people they've learned from and where they've gone to study. There's some people who are, a master groomer, and they're passing down the knowledge. And so those are the ones that I really enjoyed speaking to. Not that everybody is not equally skilled. It's just those ones, when you speak to them, you can see that there's a difference there, and they're always in demand. They rarely do any advertising. The industry is very much word of mouth as well. It really is a word of mouth. And so that also is a hindrance, because when it comes to placing workers, you might not be able to find a worker if it's only word of mouth. Whereas if you had like an advertising system up and trying to bring people in, like a recruitment strategy, it becomes a lot easier to recruit talent and also retain that talent if you sort of have a recruitment process going on.
Makes sense to me. Where are we at on time here?
Well, yeah, we only got a few minutes left, and there was some discussion about some pictures. I don't know if we got them or not. I asked and did not get an answer. But if we do have pictures, we can get some pictures up from Tom. And but in the meantime, here we go.
There we go.
Right. Here we go.
Tell us about this.
Right. So this is the Groomer Relief Network, and guys, the whole concept is what we're trying to do, and what we're actually doing is, if we start at the top there, it's about management and oversight. And so the concept is, specifically with the vans, let's work on the vans. The vans are a really good one, because with the vans, you've got a lot of these mobile vans that are sitting in driveways, and a lot of people are trying to sell them, right? So somebody might be like, hey, you know what? I've been doing this for 6 years. I'm sort of ready to step out. And so while they're in that process of renting it out, you could almost look at it as an Airbnb for grooming vans. And so then we just place workers, and we can say, hey, are you open to working on this van, or would you be open to taking it either on a daily rate or to work the customer list and split the commission 50-50? There's an opportunity here. Would you like to speak to the owner? So then we match them together. And so that is a really particular one at the moment that we're seeing as a sector that's actually growing, is the people who are sort of groomers who are working in the industry, and they want to go out on their own, but they can't afford the sometimes 35, 40, 50, maybe 70,000 to put down to get their own grooming van. And so what they're going to do is find a van that is available, and they can just try it, right? So rather than going through and trying to come up with the whole down payment. And while you're doing that, you've also got the shops. A lot of shops, depends on the location. Some locations are harder than others. And so in these locations where people are actually sort of in high demand for these relief groomers, we're able to, and actually guys, another thing is that the relief groomer is a great way to identify a long-term groomer. So, it might be like a part-time sort of gig to start off, and just to check if you guys if the connection is there. And so once you identify that connection and it's like, yes, this could actually work, then they can come on board as a full-time groomer. So you've got, on one side there, you've got the mobile vans. The other side, you've got the relief groomers. And on the mobile vans and the shops, you put them together and we just verify the credentials of the people. We make sure that we can match them correctly, make sure there's actually a fit. All right. And then we place those people together and we put them all together. So like I said, one of the sectors that's really moving for us at the moment is probably going to be the mobile grooming. So anybody that's sort of in a space where they're looking at, they just want to test it or they want some extra hours. The benefit of the mobile vans is it's not got a one fixed place to go to. And again, if we go back to the COVID era, everybody got locked down, all those grooming salons had to shut down. So the only people that were sort of able to do any kind of work were the ones who had the mobile vans. They go park up in the driveway or down the bottom of the street, whatever the situation was, and they could keep working. And so with the mobile van, also a lot of people seem to like the convenience of you going to that, as opposed to them having to set the time, get home, pick up the dog, go sit in traffic, head over to your shop. These are just the things, this is the feedback that we're getting with regards to the convenience. There's one lady that we know, and she would, the owners will leave the key in a lockbox, and obviously the whole home is cameraed. And so she'd get the key, she'll take a photo of the pet before she starts her groom, go into the van, do the process, tidy up, put the pet back in the home, take a photo, send it off, lock the home up. And so when the owners come home, they've got a real happy, nicely groomed pet, and everybody's happy. And so these are the conveniences that I'm seeing in the mobile vans versus the pet salons. But again, the salons do have their place. It's just different strokes for different folks, sort of thing.
Awesome. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, Tom, whether they wanted to partner with you or use your services or whatever, how can they get in touch with you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way, really, guys, is going to be on LinkedIn. You can just go to LinkedIn and go to lifebricksglobal.com and send us a message. There's a couple of us that keep a lookout on that page. Same on Facebook or Instagram. Those three are probably where you can get a hold of us. Just the easiest way. LifeBricks Global on either of those platforms, and you'll go up there and you can just send us a message, and we'll be more than happy to help you.
Very good, very good. Well, again, thanks for coming on, Tom. I appreciate you. It was a great conversation. We hope to have you on again someday and expand on that a little bit more and tell us your new success stories down the road. It sounds you're already on the right track for sure. But don't forget to go to debspets.com. That's DEBSPETS.com. And you can find supplements for health and human health and wellness. Anthony, take us out.
Well, Tom, thank you for joining us, and also to our listeners, thank you. And as always, if there's anything that we can do for you, please do not hesitate to reach out. If we can't help you, we will find somebody who can. But we are willing to have that 3 a.m. conversation with you rather than to hear your name in the headlines the next morning. So please reach out to us and let us know what we can do to help you.
Thanks a lot, guys. It's been great. I appreciate it. Take care.
Bless you all.
Thank you. I'm glad that you joined us for At World of Pets podcast. We would like for you to take a look at what our sponsors have to offer, and that sponsor is debspets.com. You can access it through the QR code, or you can just go to the website. So thank you for joining us, and hope to see you again next week.